welcome back to my YouTube channel, because spreading the goodness will create good vibes. Today we're going to talk about the tips to answer IELTS question. I invite my friend Stephen Keen, who is working as an English teacher in Melbourne, and he will give you tips to answer IELTS. Check it out! Jadi hari ini kita bakalan ngobrol seputar tips untuk menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan di IELTS. Nah, itu dia ada Stephen-nya. We also talking about speaking. Would you mind to explain about the tips for speaking? I'm going to wrap up about 3 minutes before 1 hour, so I think you have around 6 minutes to explain it now.
Yeah, like I said, the main thing for improving your speaking is actually trying to imitate or mirror those sentences. The more that you do that over and over and over again, I've actually been learning about that myself, or reminding myself, I would say, from sales, that that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm trying to improve my Japanese right now, so I'm going to be trying to do that more with YouTube videos and just drilling myself with some common expressions. So, yeah, mirroring, as I've understood, mirror like you look in the mirror, that sort of mirror. Mirroring for speaking is to, the more that you repeat things, is not just hear the sentence and then say the sentence. Mirroring is actually getting to the point where you can actually say in time. So that obviously cannot happen the first time you listen to something, but if you get familiar with something, you listen to it again and again, you can start to actually speak with them, which can improve your pronunciation a lot. Okay, other things for speaking. Obviously, you have 3 main parts for speaking. Part 1 is all the general knowledge about your life. So that's something you should prepare pretty well. You shouldn't have any problem answering part 1 questions, because you can prepare very well for that. Things about your job or your education. What did you study? When did you study? How did you feel about your study? And so on, so on. Those kinds of experiences. Be aware in part 1 that you really don't want to give a short answer. You want to speak at least like 30 seconds for each question. I mean, it would be very easy to answer, because part 1 is fairly easy. Some questions could be answered in 5 or 10 seconds, but they're really, you're aiming for about 30 seconds for an answer for part 1. For part 2, again, you can find a lot of example questions, online that you could actually drill through a lot of these types of questions. Obviously, you need to speak for 2 minutes. I had a student last year working with, when he started doing this, he could only really talk, like his English is not bad. He's lived in Australia for a while. He can have a general conversation, but when it came to just talking in an IELTS situation for 2 minutes about a topic, he could really only last about a minute. But I helped him think through how to develop those questions to make it. And obviously, you are usually given a few questions like who, when, what, 3 or 4 questions. But you need to be able to elaborate on each of those things. So if they ask you, should have brought an example here, but try to think of the why or the how for every one of those questions. So where did you first learn English? And you actually describe the place and you describe as much detail as you can. When, and then you go into not just the time, but the situation behind that time. Where were you? How did you feel? Try to think beyond those questions. And keep, of course, the W's, who, what, when, where, why, and how. That should be, if they don't ask you, you can also give more information to every part of those questions. Part 3 will extend on that, but I don't think we have time to go into that too much.
Yeah, maybe a glance.
Those are probably the hardest parts to get used to, part 2 especially. So just let's wrap up with some questions and then we'll finish up.
Okay, so there is a comment from Carl _FZ, being a multilingual is such amazing power. And Anto SD asks the length of the answer on each part. How long will it be for each part?
The overall time for part 1 is just 2 or 3 minutes. It's not very long, but for each of the questions you are asked, you should aim to be talking 20 to 30 seconds. So half a minute. Part 2, of course, you are speaking completely, so that's your 2 minutes. Part 3, usually it should be a more open-ended question relating to similar to what you talked about in part 2. So again, you would aim for between 30 seconds to a minute, probably about a minute for each question if you can. They're going to only ask you 3 or 4 questions in that part.
Okay. So it really depends on the development of the conversations between you and the examiner.
Yeah.
So yeah. Last question before I close it. We be asking about for speaking, how enough is enough for the answers. Should we only answer what is needed, or we need to add like 1 or 2 sentences for further explanations, especially for part 1 and part 3?
It's always better to give more than as much as you can, right? The examiner is quite happy if you carry on talking. Obviously, if they want to move on, then they will stop you or ask another question. Just keep going as much as you can, really. That's the aim.
Okay, so I think I can conclude all the conversations that we have today. That the more we exercise, the more we familiarize questions that writing and reading. As in the speaking, the elaboration is really needed in answering your questions. Examiner questions, so that we can also enrich with the sentences that we use, also the grammar, or watch out with the grammar. So also in the listening, I think it's really
again, familiarize with the exercises is very important. Also, we can know how to answer, because capitalization, place name, person name in listening is very very tricky. So we need to exercise again and again and again. I think that's all. Stephen, thank you so much for giving us your time today and sharing about to answer it. Thank you so much for everyone. I'm sorry if the questions
Terima kasih.
can't be read it, all of you. Thank you so much, and I hope that I can give you more tips on answering more questions on IELTS. I hope that you are good, and best of luck. See you,
My
Stephen.
pleasure. Thank you.
So that's all for today, the tips to answer IELTS questions. If you feel this video very useful for you, you can give like, share, comment, and subscribe. So thank you for watching everyone, and thank you for subscribing my channel. See you!